Hello peeps, this is the Hillbilly Halfwit and I thought I'd do another video today. Something that's been on my mind quite a bit lately. It's being far right, or are we just right? Now I want to explain my politics a bit and how I've come to be where I am now. I am in the middle of everything, and I believe lots of people are, and certain people in the establishment and media and everywhere want to pigeonhole you to the right, when you're not. You're just right. Now, when I was younger, up until late 20s, I suppose, I wasn't really interested in politics whatsoever, and I've got to be honest, sometimes I think I wish I never even got interested in it, because you realise that they're lying scumbags, so pretty much all of them. But I worked in various places when I was younger, and factories and things like that, and I had experience of unions. Now, I suppose in my younger years I was slightly left-wing, I suppose. Not really at all, because I didn't have a huge amount of interest in it all. As I got interested in things, my favourite politician is Tony Benn. Always has been. I didn't agree with half of everything he said, but I just loved the way he talked to people he didn't agree with, and was very polite, and they'd have quite a heated debate, but afterwards they'd shake hands and away they'd go. Now that's how I believe politics should be, instead of what they're kind of trying to do to people these days, is which pigeonhole them in one certain area and not even acknowledge they're there and not even talk to them. Now, my experience of unions when I was working in a factory was it was mostly run by people who were not very nice, and they were pretty sexist and authoritarian, I have to say. But now I look back, I didn't think that at the time really, but they were not very nice people, especially where I lived, and they actually destroyed the factory where I was because they were just intent on getting their way, and they could not see that if they had calmed down a bit they wouldn't have moved the factory abroad, because the EU at the time in the 90s, early 90s, were giving grants out to firms all around the UK to move to Lithuania and that sort of thing, and they get cheap labour. That's why I'm never very keen on the EU, and that's why I voted out, because of that, because it lost my little town hundreds and hundreds of jobs, and lots of people who worked there never had a proper job after, really, of any significance, because it was good money. So they did that all over Wales, really, and everybody who lords all this all up never actually worked and lost their job because of it all. Lots of factories lost their jobs because of that. Anyway, after I left that, I went on to the forestry, and I worked on there for most of my life. Chainsaw and skidding trees out with tractors, counties, and then went on to driving harvesters and forwarders and skylines, you name it, it done a lot. And in the earlier time of that, it was more manual work, skylining and things, and you just had a crew of people with you all the time that you got really close to. And I mean really close, and I can only imagine it was like being a miner, because every minute of the day your life was in their hands. And even though you might not get along with somebody, you always put a lot of trust in them, because you trusted them not to run you over, fall a tree on you, or whatever. It's like a bond. I was talking to somebody a while back about it. There is a bond you make with people that's hard to break when you've worked with them for a long time, and you trust them. Now, at the latter part of my forestry career, it went on to forestry machines, and I was sat for 12 hours a day in a machine on my own in the middle of nowhere, cutting trees down. And all you were listening to was a radio. Now, by coincidence, at that time, Tony Blair had just come in, and it was all like it was going to be Wasami, you know. Oh, it was going to be fantastic. Everybody else was crap, and oh, whatever. And I didn't really know a great deal about it, to be honest. Then I just know it was changing anyway. And because I remember all this, lots of people don't remember all this. I was listening to that radio, Radio 4, Radio 5 Live, a World Service all day long. So I was learning politics and learning most of it was been lies. And then after a while, after they wanted to go to the Iraq War, there was a business of where Dr. David Kelly was basically bopped off. When you followed it, you realised he was just bopped off because he was trying to stop a war happening. And they did inquiries into David Kelly and the Iraq War. And I listened on Radio 5 Live to all them inquiries from the start. I know it sounds sad, but I did. And this is where my politics changed. Soon as that inquiry started, lots of people didn't realise it, but on Radio 5 Live, the judge actually said, nobody here giving evidence is given under oath. Yes, he said that at the start of it all. Nobody's here giving evidence under oath. And I remember Tony Blair, Jeff Hoon, loads of them were giving evidence, so they were basically told that they could lie and not be under oath. And I was so flabbergasted by this. This was the first time I realised the establishment were all bent. So I listened to all this, and it was basic. They were just lying through their teeth. Jeff Hoon went up in front of that committee, and he lied and lied and lied, as Blair did. And that was when the rot set into our country, really, because they started these wars off in the Middle East because he thought he was a bit of a crusader, Mr. Blair. And then we're receiving all this migration from them crappy countries now. All these years later, we're still having to have all these people, because we basically ducked their country up, flattened it. And now we're receiving them all now, and it's knackering our own country. That is what is happening. The migration that we're having now is caused by wars that certain people want to make money all over the world. Our country is getting screwed and destroyed and broke because of it all. And that's when I realised, that's when my politics changed. And I always remember Tony Benn at the start of the Iraq War. He tried to stop the Labour Party going to war, and he actually went to meet Saddam Hussein to try and stop this all. Saddam Hussein was not a nice guy at all. But you have to realise, in them countries like that, you've got to treat your population hard, because it ain't like round here. Them people will shoot you in a second to get what they want, because it's basically going back to when we were before civilization changed to a nicer place. You go into Afghanistan and places like that. My mates were fighting over there in Afghanistan and Iraq and things like that. Yes, dodgy places like. Now, I've never been a really anti-war person. I believe if you have to fight a war, you have to go all in. But all the wars that I've seen since the Falklands War were all wars that we shouldn't have been in. Personally, that's my opinion. Now, like I told you, my politics changed then because I realised they've just got the establishment all over the West. I've got people in both of the main parties, or three parties really, and they just swap them over every 10 years and do exactly the same thing they were doing with the other lot. That's how it works. Like I said, I realised that about in my 30s. So I'm not right-wing at all. I'm just right, as people says. Lots of people don't say what they really think these days. And I mean everybody, my friends and everybody. And once you do get the real thoughts out of them, you'll be surprised. Now, I know a few people who are the other way, far left, and they turn into complete fruitcakes, especially over the last 5 or 6 years. And I will always talk to them and get on with them, but I simply say to them, oh, don't be trying to talk to me about that sort of stuff, because they're quite happy to force things onto people. Quite happy to force this jab onto you and have you forced to do things, have you stopped to do things. Whereas my side, and people that seem to be the same opinion as me, don't want to interfere in anybody's life whatsoever. As long as you're being somewhere near a nice person, I don't want to stop you smoking, I don't want to stop you drinking, because it's personal responsibility. Now, we come to this bit where we have Western governments and a few people in charge who are far left controlling the media at the moment. And their whole job is to try and pigeonhole you and me as a political right-wing person when we're not. And I ain't having it, because I know exactly what my politics are. Here, Al, come on. I've lived in Wales under Labour for 25 years, and we're basically being turned into a communist state. And people who are doing okay out of it love it, because that's how communism is. The further you get up this greasy ladder, you get lauded and paid for it all, because you put other people under your feet. They create these jobs, these non-jobs. Somebody will create a job for, let's say, how many chickens you got in your yard. You shouldn't have chickens, and he'll go around and he's got nothing else to do all day long besides seeing how many chickens somebody's got in the yard. And he'll come around and he'll say, have you got chickens in your yard? And most people will go, yeah, well, we've got this, we've got that, because you have to put the data down on your single application form. Whereas in my case, I tell them to fuck off, it's none of your business. Most people haven't got the balls to say it these days. You don't have to do this. You're an individual person. Now, I'm very hard on that. I will help anybody, and if they're in trouble, I don't care what colour you are, what brand you are. But if you start ordering me about, telling me I can't do this and can't do that, just because of your political views, you can go and take a running jump and you're going to have a very hard time with me. UK was built on people, I think, like me, individuals who decided to either make things at this, make things, be nice people, create businesses, invent stuff, be industrious. That's what I think it is. The Fred Dibners of the world. The Industrial Revolution everybody looks back on, it was a brilliant part of our heritage. Now we've got these pricks in universities been denying our heritage. I don't deny it at all. Did we do bad things? Yes. That's the past, that's history. Just move on. Try not to do it again. But trouble is, we've still got these same people in power who believe that we're cannon fodder. That's what a lot of it is. They like to pretend to be nice people and they're lefty ways, but they ain't. Not at all. They want to zip you up. They want to stop you doing things. If you notice this Labour government now, it's pretty crazy, really. All they want to do since they've come in now, it's only been a couple of months. Now, I'm not a smoker, but I see what people have the right to do what they want. They're individual decisions. And they want to ban that. They want to ban you moving about. And I remember one of the greatest things that I had when I was in my teens was when I learned to drive and was able to go somewhere. Because me and my mate simply got in my mum's mini metro and we drove for bloody hours around West Wales. It was just nice being able to go somewhere. So they want to take that away from you. They want to have total control over your life. Where you go, where your money comes from, what you spend it on, what you look at. They want to control everything about your life. And that is not what I like. Now, I consider myself, I'm not right-wing whatsoever. I'm just right. I believe in individual freedom and the old-fashioned liberal, where you help others in need when they want it, but leave people to get on with their life. That's what I believe in. So I've rambled on here a long time. I can't believe I've rambled on. So you know exactly what my politics are now. I'm right in the middle, and I'm not right-wing, I'm right. I'm just right. I don't believe in forcing others to do things. So Hillbilly Halfwit signing off, and thank you very much for everybody watching my vids. I know I always say this, but I genuinely, it's always nice to read the comments and see how people think about things. Ta-da.